Hey Regicide, in a previous video you saw me wearing this shirt. It says Assateague Island National Seashore, and on the back there's a picture of Assateague Island and the ponies. And Assateague is probably one of my favorite places to be on the world. It's a long, thin barrier island, about 37 miles long, maybe half a mile wide at the widest point, and it stretches from Maryland to Virginia. And it's pretty much 37 miles of beach. But the thing is there's only two or three really good access points to get to the beach from the land, which means that if you want to get, or if you decide to walk just a little bit further than most people do, you can have an entire stretch of beach to yourself. It stretches from Ocean City down to Virginia, and the first access point is about 7 miles south of Ocean City. So you get out, get onto the beach, and then you can walk 7 miles north, and you come to an out inlet which is a couple hundred yards wide, so easily swimmable. But it's a 20-mile drive from Ocean City to the island, but you could also swim a couple hundred yards because you can't get there from here. And you saw on the back of the shirt the ponies. And Assateague is famous for its wild ponies. Thing is that they're not ponies; they're actually horses, which are stunted. They're stunted by all the salt in the vegetation, the salt in the water, because it's a very small island on the ocean, which means there isn't much in the way of fresh water, and everything is very, very salty. And that kind of stunts the horses' growth. So they're not actually ponies or horses, that are just very, very small. Second thing is that they're not actually wild, they're feral. The difference between wild and feral is a wild animal is an animal that has always been wild. A feral animal is an animal that was once domesticated and then became wild. So, in a lot of places in the world, you have problems with feral animals of different sorts. But on Assateague, the ponies aren't really a problem because, while although they're feral, they get along with everything else, and so they don't really destroy the ecosystem there. Um, as I said, Assateague is one of my favorite places in the world, and the ponies are world famous. There's actually a book written about the ponies, Misty of Chincoteague. Now you're like, wait a minute, Assateague, Chincoteague, what's the difference? Well, Assateague is this long, thin island that runs from Maryland down into Virginia along the coast. And Chincoteague is a smaller island inside. So Chincoteague is a smaller island on the bay inside, and it has a city on it. The city's Chincoteague, the island's Chincoteague, so city island. And the local fire department in Chincoteague every year rounds up the ponies on the Virginia side of Assateague and auctions some of them off. So there are people who have the wild ponies of Assateague. So, they sell the ponies off, and that's how the fire department pays for itself. Ponies on the Maryland side are just kind of natural and there and happy and living. But Assateague is just such a beautiful place because as I said, it's just this beach that you can have all to yourself. If you go to the beach, most places, it's like there's people wall to wall. There's blankets, there's crowds, there's noise, there's whatever. But on Assateague, if you're willing to walk 2 miles north, 2 miles south from one of the access points, there's nobody. And you find the most amazing things there. I found a tree decorated with seashells. Somebody went and took seashells and hung them up on a tree. I found a seashell lying on the sand that had eroded away, and so it looked like a flower, and I gave that to Lolly as a present after one of my long, long walks on the beach. I found I found the bones of a whale, a skull that was taller than I am, vertebrae that were like the size of dish plates. So I mean, you have the dinner plate, what your parents eat dinner on. It's a full size dinner plate, and that was the size of one of its vertebrae, and the jaw was bigger than I was. And the ponies are just wild there. I mean, you walk along, and the ponies just kind of stare at you. Um, there's big signs saying, "Don't feed the ponies. Don't feed the ponies." And you shouldn't feed the ponies. You know, you shouldn't feed the ponies because if you feed a wild animal, it comes to expect to be fed. And so there are all sorts of stories about the ponies being aggressive and biting and kicking and getting upset when they don't get fed because so many people have fed them. And there's big signs saying, don't do this. But the thing is that usually when you see a sign saying don't do something, it's a sign that someone has done it. Like you have instructions on the toaster saying don't stick a fork in the toaster. That's because somebody stuck a fork in a toaster and hurt themselves badly. So even if it seems obvious, when you see a sign saying don't do whatever, it's usually a good sign that somebody probably did it and something bad happened as a result. Anyway, talk to you later.